Good evening. Welcome to our class today. I'll be speaking about e-procurement systems. We are looking at topic 3 of supply chain management information system. So remember last time we looked at the manual system and the electronic system, but we focused so much on the manual system. Today we shall focus on the e-procurement system and just find out what happens in the procurement process whenever you are using electronic procurement. So we shall first define e-procurement. It is the use of electronic means in conducting public procurement procedures of goods, works, and services. So whenever you're buying goods, works, or services, if you're using the electronic means to procure those goods, works, or services, we are calling it e-procurement. So how do we undergo e-procurement from the beginning to the end? There are some factors or areas related to e-procurement. We shall look at the major processes of the e-procurement process. So there are things we shall look at, like the first one is e-informing or e-noticing. It is sending a notice or informing people electronically. There is so much you can inform people in an organization, and even outside supply chain members. You can be able to talk to them, give them information, send information to them using electronic means, which we are calling e-informing or e-noticing. Noticing comes from the word notice. You send a notice to people, either internal or outside the organization. E-requisition. All of us know the physical requisition, the hard copy requisition. Most organizations still use them even up to now. So they will write a requisition and say this is whatever we need as a department, and then they forward the requisition to procurement, who are now tasked with the task of looking for suppliers and ensuring the products that have been requisitioned for are brought into the organization. But when the process is now electronic, we call it e-requisitioning, whereby now you are doing the same procedure, but now not using the hard copy requisition forms. You are using an electronic requisition. So that is a very positive part, because the hard copy forms, you can imagine how many they will be, starting to look at them, comparing them, trying to authorize that items are bought. Then it will take so much time. But because of e-requisitioning, everything is centralized. All the information is at a central point. The user or the user of the item will fill in that requisition and send it. And the person who is approving will see the requisition in the same place, and they can be able to approve the requisition, take it to the next level, just using the same procedure. So we shall look at the benefits of e-requisitioning, like it reduces paperwork. You no longer are using paper documents, but you have now progressed to be able to use electronic requisitioning. So if it is done electronically, there'll be no paperwork. Everything is online. From the time you start the requisitioning process up to the time it is approved, they start off the procedure of purchasing, sending requests to suppliers. Everything can be done online from the beginning to the end, which is advantageous because there's no mix-up of online together with manual system. You can easily approve. Those people who are tasked with approving requisition can easily do so with the system. It is just writing approved or not approved, because there are those options which have been given in the system. And then you can report. Making reports become easier. You can be able to know this is the item we requisitioned for, and this is the time period of we are waiting for the item to arrive. These are the requirements we needed. So you can report. You can send a report, or you can generate a report using the system. And then it's also secure and private. Most times when you log into the system, you have a unique password and a unique username which is associated with you. So it means nobody can log into your system unless you're careless with your password. Nobody can be able to log into your system and try to send a requisition on behalf, or nobody can be able to manipulate the requisition that you've already sent. As long as you're careful, you have a personal password, you don't share it with others, you don't leave the system without logging out, because those are things, if you deliberately do, someone can easily access your password or username. So they are secure as long as you are careful with the system. So e-requisitioning is so good because it makes the process to be faster. You can do everything related to requisitioning online, like coming up with the requisition, approving the requisition, coming up with the purchase order. So all that regarding a requisition is possible. And then we go to e-ordering. E-ordering is placing an order electronically. The same way we would have placed an order with a supplier and manually, by calling them, trying to talk to them, evaluating whatever they can offer us, and then we give them an order. Now this one is electronically. So since the suppliers are connected to your system, you don't have to keep calling them. They can be able to access all the information related to the order electronically. Then we go to e-sourcing. I remember we said e-sourcing, wherever you look at the word e-sourcing, sourcing is related to suppliers. It means it is now the time when you are trying to pre-qualify suppliers, identify supplier using the electronic means. So you first identify the suppliers and then you pre-qualify. Pre-qualify means you qualify them. Look at the qualifications you need of a supplier, and then after looking at them, you can be able to select those suppliers that meet your criteria or meet your qualification. That's what we are calling pre-qualification. So all that can be done electronically. Assume you have 100 suppliers, you can be able to narrow them down to 20, then you narrow them down to 10, then you get to 2 or 3, the ones you are comfortable dealing with. Then we go to e-tendering. It is the complete tendering process from requisition to contracting. The unique thing about tendering, it does not include closing the deal. So tendering will just get up to the part you give the contract to the supplier. So e-tendering will be from giving the contract, that is another different process. But tendering or e-tendering will cover from the time a requisition is placed up to the time contracting is done, or you enter into a contract with the supplier. Then we look at e-auctioning. Auctioning is now dealing with closing the deal after contracting, closing the deal. At the period before you give a contract, you're trying to close the deal with the supplier. So it's not really after contracting, but it supports the contracting stage. So e-auctioning, I think most of you have ever heard of the word auction. There are two types of auction, forward and reverse. Most of us are aware of the forward auction, where there is a single seller who is selling an item. They stand and say, who will pick this item? And then buyers start to bid. Someone will say, I'll take it at 10,000. Another one, I'll take it at 12,000. So the process will go on until the highest bidder is able to bid. And if there's nobody speaking after that highest bidder, then it means that highest bidder is given the product. That is the normal forward auction. We also call it upward because you bid the price upward. The other one is reverse. It's like you're coming back. Here you're dealing with one buyer and so many sellers. So sellers will not increase the price. Sellers will try to come down until that last seller, which you are comfortable with as a buyer, you give them the contract. So those are the two types of e-auction that we have. We shall look at steps in conducting e-auction, limitations of e-auctioning, and then we come and finish with the e-procurement advantages. The entire process we've just looked at, what benefits do we get? The first one is reduced cost. You are able to reduce cost of paperwork, cost of unnecessary staff, cost of unnecessary processes and steps, cost of repetitive activities. All those costs are reduced. It increases productivity. People are able to engage in more productive activities, especially the procurement department. They are not now thinking about continuous transactional activities, but they can focus now on strategic activities. It ensures their controls. With the system, control becomes so easy because you can get all the information in one central point. So controlling becomes easier. And then visibility of spend. You can be able to know how much you've spent on a certain stage or process or on the entire process of the procurement, because the costs are very visible. There are no hidden costs like we used to have hidden cost in the manual system, where there are so many costs that you don't even know how they come about. Then we look at benefits of e-procurement, and this one we shall look at it in terms of categories. Benefits that management get, benefits that suppliers get, operational benefits, and also strategic purchasing benefits. After that, we finish now with the limitations of e-procurement. E-procurement is not 100% perfect. It has some limitations like lack of qualified workforce. You really need to train people to understand the system. And sometimes when the system changes, it means so many other things will have to change. Unreliable systems. Most of us have heard of system breakdown. Sometimes the system is hanging. You've ever been to an organization and they tell you, we cannot serve you because the system is hanging. It means nothing can happen during that time. Security-related threats. People can easily access your information. Things like staff resistance to change. Expensive to implement and maintain. Maintaining a system, implementing, even starting off a system, everything about a system is expensive. As much as it gives us the benefits, it is also expensive to operate. So we shall look at those areas in detail, trying to find out how good a system is and what limitations it has, because whatever is good also has limitations. So let's join for the class. She'll be able to join for the class and understand more on these areas. So thank you. I hope we shall meet again to be able to now talk about these areas extensively. So thank you.